Welcome back. Well, you remember the violence that occurred last week at John H. Woodsen High School. Here's News Channel 8's Wes Small, who caught one parent's view in an exclusive report.
All right, I want to give you an update on the situation at John H. Woodsen Jr. High School. You might remember it was a few days ago last week when all hell broke out on the school campus. I want to tell you that at least 25 students were taken into custody for questioning. Since then, 3 boys have been formally arrested with assault in some type of degree. Off my top of my head, I don't know if it's 3rd degree or what it is. I have a parent of one of the children who was injured in the brawl. I have to tell you that there were many children involved in this brawl, but this is the only parent that has really had the wherewithal to come on and talk about what happened. I want to take you back to a few days before that when the students were actually staging or supposedly staging their own strike, if you will, protest because of the situations and conditions at John H. Woodsen. While the teachers were in court on an injunction from the judge, the students had it in their mind, some students, that they were going to take care of their differences from hood to hood on that certain Friday because they knew that they were not going to be properly supervised. Now, this is a fact, not only from the streets, but also from students and also some parents. So that we know. Also, some officials from the law, VIPD, knew that as well. What is going on at John H. Woodsen?
Well, Wes, from the very beginning, my daughters complained to the adults in the school in John H. Woodsen. There were 5 adults that my eldest daughter went on. She complained and she told them that they had a group of girls, 15 of them, who was repeatedly jumping students in the school and who had jumped them about 3 times before. We've had meetings with the police officers. They were working with the students. Officer Orange was working with them to try to get the girls to, stop jumping students in the school because my daughters were not the only ones. On the 16th, we had a meeting with the commissioner's office because I called the commissioner. I spoke to the commissioner. She agreed with me that the situation should be put under control, and so she had me meet with her district superintendent, Ms. Encarnacion, and Ms. Encarnacion assured me that on Friday these students would be notified that they were all being transferred to different schools because I've had it. My children have been going to school. My daughter was punched in the abdomen. My niece was punched in the face. This has been going on now for 4 months. We complained. We have meetings with the police officers. These students said in front of the police officers that they were going to jump my daughters. They said not if, they said when. And they said when they were going to let other people know that they were going to jump them. Mr. Hewitt has been working very hard to keep my daughters protected. He assigned a monitor.
He's the principal.
Yes, Mr. Hewitt is the principal. He assigned a monitor to each of the children that were jumped before. My 2 daughters, my 2 nieces, Tia and the other one, 2 more friends, Renisa, my cousin. They assigned monitors to each of those students to follow them all day long, putting stigma on my kids and my nieces and stuff. When Friday morning came, I told the girls I would come and pick them up at 3 because I know school was going to be done a few minutes later. I was going to pick them up at 3 and get them out of the melee. At 11:30, my daughter Marilyn called me and she told me that she was in a police station and that they had picked her up and they had took her there. So I didn't even wait to find out what happened. I went to the police station. That in itself is a totally different matter because Officer Porter is very rude and very forward, and it didn't go well at the police station. Apparently, the officers didn't know there was an ongoing situation, that my daughters were jumped before and that they were protecting themselves when they were jumped on that day. In the morning around, I guess it would have been maybe around 9:30 or so, because the teachers, like you said, were in court. The principal was in court, and the school was basically free to the kids to do whatever they were going to do. The first thing that should never have happened is these kids should have never been notified that they were not going to be allowed to come back into the school without their parent being there. Because what do you think was going to happen, Wes? When they know that they were going to be transferred out of their favorite school with their friends, their little clique, 17 of them, to different schools, something was going to happen. All hell was going to break loose.
My question is this, though. Why wasn't the school closed without ample protection for students if the teachers are in court and the principal's in court and the students? These are junior high school students. This is not, you could tell, seniors or college students, okay, study for next few hours and so forth. These are junior high kids.
You know that John H. Woodsen have had a problem where they have a situation with the school and they've been out of school for a while. So I guess they're trying to cram as much as they could cram into the hours that they do have. So I can understand the kids going to school and, once they behave, everything will be fine. But once that fight break out in the gym and then monitors had to leave my daughters and protected, them 17 girls attack. And after that, it was war.
Let me ask you this. Why do we have 3 boys arrested and none of the girls?
Well, because the boys, I guess, my daughter was hit with a 2x4, and I think they said that the boys were the ones that had the 2x4. She was hitting her temple with a 2x4. I mean, she's fine, she's rough, but, you know, I guess they're the ones who, I guess, assume use the 2x4 on my nephew and my daughter.
All right, so where do we stand right now? Is your daughter in school now?
No, apparently they can't go back to school until they have a conference. They don't know when they're going to have the conference. Mr. Hewitt assured me that he would call me sometime today to let me know what is happening, even though he couldn't tell me when the conference is going to be. But my situation is, Wes, you ask who's responsible? The Department of Human Services for not keeping under control their charge, because that young lady is their charge, because when she stamped on that baby in Sonia's, they placed her under the custody of Human Services. The Department of Education for not protecting my children and making sure that they were in a safe learning environment. The police department for assaulting my daughters and slamming my daughter on the concrete and dragging her on the ground by her knee. Officer Samuel, she did it, and she gonna pay. The Department of Public Safety is gonna pay. And then the Department of Education, Department of Human Services, and the EMTs who came to get my daughter never left with her. They never took her blood pressure. She was dizzy. She looked, when you looked at her, you could tell her something was wrong with her. You know, enough is enough.
All right. Well, I'm sure we haven't heard the last of this John H. Woodsen Jr. High School story. Good grief. At first it was the air conditioning and the mold and what have you, and then other problems, and now violence, which is just a terrible situation. We certainly hope that it will get worked out. And I do give you credit for having the wherewithal to come up and stand here and make your statements, because there was plenty other people involved too. Well, good.
That's my daughter, them.
Right.
And I'm proud of my daughter. I'm not proud of them because they fought, you know, Wes. I'm proud of them that when they were attacked, they defend themselves, and they defend themselves with honor. And I'm not ashamed, and I'm not apologizing to any of those parents, because I raised my daughter them to understand respect and to know that when somebody show you respect, you show them respect in return. If somebody come to you with violence, you better stand up and you fight. Because like I tell them all the time, Wes, and it's no joke, the school's a dangerous place, and there's no retreat, no surrender. They stand up and they fight, and I gonna stand up and I gonna pay the consequences for what my daughter them do, defending themselves against razor blade and knife and 2x4.
Wow. How we living? I'm Wes Small for News Channel 8.